On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1995. We're going to be taking a look at Selena, and she's going to be performing No Me Quiere Más. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So, I'm going to kick off this video by saying something that you probably won't believe. I hadn't heard of Selena or heard any of her songs before, and then looking into it, she was huge over in the USA, South America, Mexico, but here in the UK, she hasn't had one album that was released, and we don't know her music at all. So when I did then look into her career and her music, I then found out about the tragic story and the fact that actually this performance that we're about to look at must have been really early 1995. At least that's how the copyright is being claimed for that year from Sony. So it must have been a live performance, the audio recorded at that time. This was released in it was October 1994. And sadly, Selena was killed at the beginning of 1995, so March, but we're about to jump into it. And yeah, tragically, she lost her life when she was only 23 years of age. And certainly myself, watching her performances, I thought that she was a lot older than she actually was. And I mean, you can look into the story. She got shot in the back by somebody that actually worked for her for a very long time. And it seems to me to be quite a complicated story, that some of her family members kind of warned her about this particular person, but then she kind of kept that relationship going there, and maybe the person that worked for her was a bit obsessive about her. And yeah, it was another female worker. Like I said, you can look into it, but this woman had a meeting with Selena and pulled out a gun, and Selena ran for it, but unfortunately got shot in the back, and I believe the bullet then severed an artery kind of near her shoulder, and she made it down to the hotel reception where she was, but then sadly was bleeding a lot, and I think they did manage to revive her kind of in hospital and that kind of thing, but then she lost her life. So yeah, really tragic story, but we are going to be jumping into this and really analyze her voice and have a celebration of her voice, because I mean, what a voice it is.
Muchas gracias a todos ustedes. Thank you very, very much. ¿Están disfrutando, sí o no? Muy bien, gracias. Otra canción para todas las parejas. La canción No Me Queda Más. No me queda más que perderme en un abismo de tristeza y lágrimas. No me queda más que aguantar bien mi derrota y brindarte felicidad. No me queda más si tu regreso hoy sería una imposibilidad. Y esto que no era amor, lo que hoy niegas, lo que dices que nunca pasó, es el más dulce recuerdo de mi vida. Yo tenía una esperanza en el fondo de mi alma, que un día te quedaras tú conmigo, y aguardaba una ilusión que alimentaba el corazón, mi corazón que hoy tiene que verte como su amigo. Y aunque viví enamorada y totalmente equivocada, no me importa, porque esto sí fue amor. Por mi parte, lo más lindo, el más grande amor. Y aunque siempre lo renuncias, para mí fue lo más bello.
So I'm going to jump in here. As always, there's a link in the description below if you guys want to watch the performance the whole way through without me interrupting it. And of course, we're going to be getting into Selena's voice, isolating it as well. But there is so much going on with this vocal performance. First of all, just her tone. And as soon as she starts singing, she has this almost smoky quality to it because there's a hint of rasp on her sound. And when I just take down the instrumentation,
No me queda más que perderme en un abismo de tristeza y lágrimas.
I mean, it's really subtle, but it's just giving it that kind of that warm. It's a very difficult thing to describe, but some singers have this when they can get into their clean chest voice and head voice, but just when they're relaxing into a vocal, they get this raspy quality. Obviously, it's not something where she's really leaning into chest voice, and therefore the rasp is something that comes with the power of, you know, leaning on her diaphragm and really pushing through. And the compression, it's not like that. It's just a natural smokiness. That's the only way that I can describe it. The other thing to look out for throughout the performance is the lipstick on the microphone. And the reason that I say this is because it's a great indicator of the fact that she is so close to the microphone. Sometimes when you're performing live and, you know, you don't have the luxury of having a condenser mic like this, for example, you might have a mic that isn't particularly sensitive. So it means that when you're too far away from the microphone, it isn't really picking up your voice as clearly as you want it to. And you can see that Selena is right into that microphone all the time in order to get all of the quality of her voice across. She's just making sure that the mic is picking up every single detail. And then when she starts to lean into it a little bit more, you'll see her mouth slightly further away from the mic. But certainly from this live performance, you can tell that that mic obviously is going to make her work to be heard. So she has that mic technique in order to, first of all, appreciate that about the sound of her vocal, making sure it comes across as cleanly as possible, but then being able to manage that as she then leans into her diaphragm a little bit more as she ascends in pitch. Let's just listen to the isolated vocal for a little bit longer.
No me queda más que aguantar bien mi derrota y brindarte felicidad.
I'm just going to jump in here because we have a lot of rolling of the R's, which is something that I think just because of the language, the way that it is spoken, that's just something that happens. And I can understand a little bit of what's going on here at school. I did study Spanish and I've done some Brazilian Portuguese, so I kind of get a vibe as to, you know, what's being sung about. But there's so much in here from a stylistic perspective that Selena does with her voice. The first thing is her vibrato. Let's just take it back and have a listen to that last phrase. She's got this, and that vibrato, is actually quite fast, and we can see that on the A3 here on the screen. So it's something that she has total control of, and we know that because as we move forward through the song, we'll listen to it a bit more. Again, still quite fast on the F#4. The other thing is the pitch accuracy. I mean, she is really accurate pitch-wise, and, you know, because this is a natural voice, it's not pitch corrected or auto-tuned, it means that her voice is free to go where she wants it to. So it means that when you do see these little points of, you know, ascending up to the F#4, being slightly flat of the D4, this is just the expression that comes with, you know, a great vocalist.
Y esto que no era amor, lo que hoy niegas, lo que dices que nunca pasó, es el más dulce recuerdo de mi vida.
Right, here, this is where we have a different vibrato to how she's been singing previously throughout the whole song. And you can see the control here, and we get this natural movement, just slightly down in pitch, slightly up in pitch, but, you know, perfectly over that E4. I've just taken it back very quickly because I want to mention something that Selena does stylistically. It's really cool, but she does it so quickly. Let's just have a listen, then we'll get back to the vibrato. You'll be able to see here on the pitch monitoring software that at the F sharp 4, we go really quickly up and then really quickly down. That it's a really quick hitting really accurately of a tone above. So let's just take that back and listen to it in slow motion so we can hear the accuracy of this. It's a definite run where obviously when you slow it down you can hear the notes really clearly, but the speed with which she just throws that in there, you know, blink and you miss it, you kind of hear it and it goes in, but it's so fast that, you know, it just sounds great, but when you analyze it you can see the accuracy. And then listen out for this vibrato where she'll have this it'll be really slow, hitting that frequency, and I'll slow it down so that we can have a listen to it. Is so perfectly timed. And this is the point that previously when she was singing we had the and it's really fast. But now she's got control of vibrato, so she can speed it up, she can slow it down. And I would say that very few singers have the ability to do that. They have their natural vibrato that just seems to happen, and they don't necessarily slow it down or speed it up, it just is what it is. And this is something that you'll find with a lot of singers. As they age, their vibrato becomes a bit slower and it might become a lot wider than it used to be. And the reason for that is because it's just a natural thing and they don't control the vibrato, they just let it happen. So having control of it is huge. It means that you can now start to edit your vibrato as to how you want that particular note to sound when you sing it, because the vibrato is going to make that note sing. Because of course the vocalist is singing, but it's that technique that's going to make it sound nice, but also give it a different expression as to how fast or how slow you use that vibrato if you have the ability to change that speed. And a lot of people will be able to hear the difference. Even if you're not musically inclined, you will know the vibrato of a sheep that is really fast and something that's really slow, because they'll just sound totally different. But this is the point about music. When I say a sheep going, even though you could say that that's more of a tremolo. So we'll get back into the performance, but this is something to look out for. These really quick changes of a semitone, then going into a run, and look at where she ends up with that E4. Just really accurate. But let's get back into the isolated vocal.
Yo tenía una esperanza en el fondo de mi alma que un día te quedaras tú conmigo y aún guardaba una ilusión que alimentaba el corazón. When I say about leaning into chest voice now, we're up at the A4. So you can see down here the A3. It means that Selena is hitting notes that are octaves apart, 1 octave apart. So she's got that range in order to be able to do that. And when she does get up to that A4, it means that she's now pushing and we get a little bit more of that rasp. But the great thing is that that rasp that she has is just throughout her voice. Even when she's singing lightly, she just has that quality. Mi corazón que hoy tiene que verte como su amigo. Y aunque viví enamorada y totalmente equivocada, no me importa. Again, listen to the vibrato. There is a hint of a cry in her voice as well, which is really subtle, but it's in there. Right there. She kind of has this, maybe, There's that ever so slight kind of vocal fry, but because of her natural rasp, it'll kind of blend into that sound. Let's listen to that again. Y aunque viví en
There, when she comes down, I'll slow it down so you can hear it a little bit more clearly.
Y aunque viví en
And there's that kind of, that note that we hear. Obviously, I'm a guy, so I can't go up into that kind of cry with my voice. But I think it's just something that she's doing naturally. She's not thinking about balancing her air and using the minimum amount possible and compression and all that kind of stuff in order to get that cry. She's just singing with emotion, and the cry is something that really draws you in emotionally to the performance, as it does with lots of singers who are just at that top level. They've got this cry in their voice.
enamorada y totalmente equivocada. No me importa.
Even the you can hear all of those intakes of breath, and we've actually got a little bit of chord closure on the intake, so you can hear a note in there. But obviously it's not like going and hitting a note and maintaining a note. It's a really subtle bit of expression that comes along. Again, you're not going to be thinking about this, and Selena's not thinking about going and actually hitting a note with air. When we talk to each other, having a conversation, especially if it's an emotional conversation, all these things happen naturally when we talk, but then doing them while you sing is a totally different animal, and great singers just can naturally translate emotions of conversations and put them with a great singing voice.
Porque esto sí fue amor. Por mi parte, lo más lindo, el más grande amor. Y aunque siempre lo renuncias, para mí fue lo más bello.
Even slower that time with the vibrato. The good thing is that being able to isolate the vocal, of course, we can hear everything in so much more detail, but you get an appreciation of when she takes her breath and comes in, you know, she's really kind of filling up her stores to then add compression into the and she's kind of leaning into that part of her voice and her chest voice, but because she's got all of that air and she's kind of supporting her voice, look out for actually the way that Selena sings, how upright she is, and her appreciation of posture. And you know that, you know, she's just got great vocal technique because she's not doing a lot on stage in terms of, you know, dancing and bending over and compromising her voice. She's just kind of getting into this, leaning into it. We will just listen to it probably until the end, just the isolated vocal, because it's great to hear it in such detail.
Yo tenía una esperanza en el fondo de mi alma que un día te quedaras tú conmigo.
I mean, there's so much expression in here where sometimes she breaks off from a note because of the emotion and the expression of, you know, what she's singing about. But this is the point that sometimes, you know, the voice will change and you'll get those bits of emotion in there. Like that part, her voice almost kind of cracks because of what she's saying, the lyrical content and the emotion of how she's delivering it.
Y aún guardaba una ilusión que alimentaba el corazón, mi corazón que hoy tiene que verte como un solo amigo. Y aunque viví enamorada y totalmente equivocada, no me importa, porque esto sí fue amor. Por mi parte, lo más lindo, el más grande amor. Y aunque siempre lo renuncias, para mí fue lo más bello. Fue lo más bello.
And there we have it right at the end there, that held note that she holds for quite a long time. And then adds the vibrato at the end. So again, total control and, you know, breath support, and she's just got everything in that voice. I mean, it's such a unique sounding voice. When I did say about having that appreciation of, yeah, posture, not moving around too much, she's still putting on the show and really living the lyrics of the song with the way that she is performing. So it's not just that she's standing there, you know, and is totally, you know, cut off from that lyrical content of the song and telling a story. But the great thing is that it's not gimmicky, like, you know, using that stylization of flipping her voice up a semitone or a tone, coming down into a run. She's not doing that all the time. It's just something that she has to her voice, you know, such as the R's that she rolls as well, which is very much part of that Latin sound and the language. But she's got control of vibrato. Like I said, that is huge because a lot of singers don't have that. She's got this smoky quality to her voice. She's got range as well, which we've seen about her spanning an octave just in one vocal phrase. But she's just got total control of her voice. And yeah, it's great to listen to a voice of this quality. And yeah, when you then realise that, yeah, sadly, she wouldn't be around for much longer after this performance. It really is a tragic story that everybody lost a voice of this kind of quality at such a young age. But a great one for me to look at tonight because it's an artist that I didn't know previously, and sadly here in the UK we haven't been exposed to any of Selena's music or her voice, but hopefully a few more people will get to know about her now because of this video. But I think it's great to be able to just put a spotlight on Selena's voice, isolating it as well, because thankfully the technology that we have nowadays makes that possible. So thank you guys for requesting this particular video for me to take a look at tonight. I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. As always, let me know what you guys think and keep those suggestions and requests coming in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!